Mr. Speaker, on the subject of British and Irish cooperation, the First Secretary has huge expertise on the practicalities of the common travel area. On that basis, can he tell the House what will happen to the Irish land border if no deal is reached between Britain and Europe by the end of March 2019?
She will know that it is the aim of this government to make sure that we get the best deal for Britain, and as the Prime Minister set out in her Lancaster House speech, one of the key issues which we want to bring forward and have brought forward at the start of the negotiations is precisely the issue of the Irish border, because it is extremely important not just for our own citizens in Northern Ireland, but for the Irish Republic, that we get that right. And indeed, I have already had meetings with my opposite number, the Taoiseach, on this matter and other matters.
My question was not, what deal do we hope to get? My question was not what deal do we hope to get, but what happens if we get no deal at all? This isn't some sinister nightmare dreamt up by Remainers. It was the Prime Minister who first floated the idea of no deal, the Foreign Secretary who said it would be perfectly okay, the Brexit Secretary who said that we'd be prepared to walk away. But since the election, the Chancellor has said that that would be a very, very bad outcome, and a former minister has told Sky News that no deal is dead. So will the First Secretary clear this up? Are ministers just making it up as they're going along? Or is it still the government's clear policy that no deal is an option?
I recommend the Right Honourable Lady read the Prime Minister's Lancaster House speech. That is the basis on which we're negotiating. But we're also saying that it is conceivable that we would be offered a kind of punishment deal that would be worse than no deal. It is not our intention. We want to have a deal. We want to have a good deal. Can I also point out to her that it is her leader and her party's position that whatever is on offer, they will accept it. That is a terrible way. That is a terrible way to go into a negotiation, and all I can congratulate them on is their consistency. They have been consistently in favour of unilateral disarmament. They don't only apply that in military matters, they clearly apply it in matters of negotiation on Britain's future prosperity as well.
Well, the First Secretary apparently didn't get the Prime Minister's memo. You're supposed to be building consensus, man. And if we ignore the political bluster, I think what we heard was that no deal is indeed still an option. And if that is the case, can we turn to what I might call the East India Club question? Because before the member for Newton Abbott suddenly turned herself into Nick Griffin, this was the question that she was trying to ask. What does no deal actually mean for our businesses, for our people, and for issues such as the Irish land border? So, can the First Secretary address this question now? What does no deal look like in practice?
I'm very happy to address her first point about consensus. I'm always, as you know, a moderate person keen on consensus, and so I very much look forward to sharing the Labour Party's views this morning on the unemployment figures. Unemployment is now down to its lowest level since the early 70s. There are many members of this House who weren't born when unemployment was as low as this government has made it. I would hope that she can bring herself in the course of her questions actually to welcome lower unemployment. On the substance of her question, as she knows, we are seeking a good deal for Britain that will enable us to trade as freely as possible with the European Union to protect our prosperity, at the same time as getting trade deals with other important markets around the world. In the last week alone, both the United States and Australia have said they would like to sign trade deals with Britain as fast as possible. So I'm happy to report to her that negotiations are going well and that her fear of no deal is probably overstated.
If he wants to talk about unemployment, let me ask him specifically, Will he publish the Treasury's assessment of the impact of the no-deal outcome would have on jobs and growth in Britain? Will he publish that today? I didn't think so. So let's continue. So if the First Secretary won't tell the House what
Order. The Honourable Lady must be heard, and she will be.
Mr. Speaker, if the First Secretary won't tell the House what no deal means, can he at least clear up the confusion over whether a plan for no deal actually exists? Because yesterday the Foreign Secretary told me that indeed there was no plan for no deal. 2 hours later, Number 10 fought back, and they said there was a plan. The Brexit Secretary might be laughing, but I'm turning to him next, because the Brexit... The Brexit Secretary was so busy fighting with himself that on March the 12th, he said that there was a plan. On March the 17th, he said that there wasn't. On May the 19th, he said he spent half his time thinking about it. And yesterday, he said that he wasn't prepared to comment. So, can the First Secretary clear up the confusion today? Is there a contingency plan for no deal, or isn't there? And if there is, will he undertake to publish it?
The Honourable Lady says she's happy to talk about unemployment. I notice she can't bring herself to welcome falling unemployment figures. We will clearly have to try harder to establish consensus on what I would hope would be something that genuinely unites all sides of this House. On the issue of the report, the OBR is publishing its fiscal risks report tomorrow. So if she can be patient, she will see the report she wants.
So let's be clear. The First Secretary seems to be saying that no deal is still on the table, but he won't say what it means. And there is a no-deal contingency plan, but he's not going to publish it. This really is 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. After all, if the government seriously wants open cross-party debate about the best way forward for Brexit, surely they have to spell out what all the options look like. So can the First Secretary at least provide some clarity on one issue, and let's try and make some progress today? He has said repeatedly that we want to avoid a cliff-edge Brexit. But under a no-deal scenario, he knows that that must be impossible, because the Prime Minister can hardly storm out of the negotiating room saying that she won't accept the deal and then pop her head round the door again and say, can she have 2 more years to prepare? Because that's not how it works. So does he accept no deal also means no transitional arrangements?
Let me try even harder to establish consensus with the Right Honourable Lady. I think we both want a deal. I hope she will agree to that she wants a deal at the end of this. And the reason why I am optimistic that because of our negotiating stance and the position set out by the Prime Minister, we will get a deal, is that we have, for example, made a fair and realistic offer about citizenship to try and remove that problem from the equations. That is a first indication of how we will approach these negotiations. We approach them in a positive state, and we believe that it is not just in the interests of Great Britain, but also in the interests of the other member states of the European Union to reach a deal with what is one of their biggest trading partners. So it is in everyone's interest to reach this deal, and frankly, she said nothing constructive that might contribute to a deal so far, but I will give her another chance.
I know the Right Honourable Gentleman is new to this, but the way the rules work...
Order. I don't know whether it's spontaneous or orchestrated, and I don't really care which. But whichever it is, the idea that it's going to stop the Honourable Lady asking her questions is for the birds. So members are wasting their vocal cords. We will carry on as long as necessary to accommodate the backbench members whom I wish to accommodate. Emily Thornberry.
Yeah, I know that the honourable member is new to this, but the way that it works is I ask the questions and he answers them. And we're quite happy to swap places with them. And frankly, if he doesn't want to continue under these rules, I'm sure there's plenty of other people on the front bench there who'd love the opportunity to audition as Prime Minister. But I do appreciate all the First Secretary's answers, but they do just serve to illustrate what a mess the government has got itself into by threatening to walk away even before talks began. Isn't the truth now that we've got a no-deal option on the table, but they won't tell us what that means? They've got contingency plans, but they won't let the public see them. We've got a Chancellor demanding transitional arrangements, which a no-deal option makes impossible. We've got a Foreign Secretary making it up as he's going along. We've got a Brexit Secretary so used to overruling his colleagues that he started overruling himself. And we've got a Prime Minister who's so bereft of ideas that she started putting suggestion boxes around Parliament. But as a country, we have got 20 months to go until Brexit. We absolutely have got to get a grip. And if the party opposite hasn't got the strength for the task, then we've absolutely got to get rid of them.